Chapter 29. The Life Scanner. Imagine there was a scanning machine that, if people walked through it whilst thinking of a friend, they would be able to relive everything they had lived together, exactly as they had lived it, exactly as the other had lived it too. Any idea how that would change the world? His car was smashed, and he himself was in such a bad state that he decided to leave his body. As he walked away from the accident, or rather, as he floated away, he sensed something like a breeze passing through him. It left him shivering all over. It was as if the breeze had cleared all the dirt out of his mind, as if he had been swept clean. Peter felt how his whole being was being elevated into a higher vibration, a frequency allowing him to see much clearer than he had ever done before. It was as if for his whole life he had been seeing through some sort of a mist that had now suddenly cleared. There was no panic. Peter just observed the scene before him. The car, his body, the other people trying to help, trying to get him back. Slowly, he distanced himself from the accident. Memories floated into his mind, things that had happened in his life. Peter saw his whole life, every single moment, even the smallest detail passing in front of him. They weren't really memories, though. It was more like a rerun. He lived his life over again, and he lived it in a very profound way, not like in a movie where you look at something from a distance, but very real. Yes, Peter lived it as it was all happening again. He relived, saw, heard, smelt every past experience, tasted it to the fullest. But there was something else still. Not only could he feel all that he had felt at the time, this time he could also feel what all the others had felt. For each and every event involving other people, he could feel these people, feel what they had felt, their happiness, their love, their sadness and confusion too. He relived the moment he first fell in love, except that he now also experienced what his wife had felt, a completely new experience, leading to an insight beyond any understanding he had ever had. He relived the moment of his divorce, the bitterness, the anger, the hurt, his wife's confusion, pain, and anger, too. Not the anger and pain he had seen at the time, but the pain as she had felt it, a profound sadness raging deep within her, deep within him, too, this time. Hundreds, thousands of experiences passed before him, each and every one as clear as the previous one, and all with the same depth and intensity. Good times, bad times, happiness, sadness. He laughed, he cried, and all this happened within a time span of... How long had it taken? A few seconds? Minutes, maybe? Suddenly, a shock. Like 1,000 volts passing through him. His whole body jumps up. The experience of pain, physical pain. A bursting headache raging through his head. Then he realizes he is back. Back in his body. Heartbeat 65, the medic says. Blood pressure up, 70 over 100. He's going to make it. He will live. 3 months later, the man is allowed to leave the hospital. Fully recovered, the report says. The same man. Or is it? Lying in his hospital bed for months, attached to tubes, his mind had often wandered back to the experience he had lived. He recalled how all of his senses had been sharpened when he had left his body. It was as if his body had always prevented him from truly seeing, hearing, and feeling, as if it had blocked off some of the information, like sunglasses blocking off part of the light, like a concrete wall preventing a perfect radio reception. Yes, Peter remembered it well. He only had to close his eyes and feel the effect his life had had on others. It had left him another man. Sitting in the car that took him home, his mind wandered off once again. How would other people react if they could feel the way he had felt? How would life be if everybody could always feel this way? Then, in his mind, an image grew. Imagine, he thought. Imagine there was a scanning machine that, if people walked through it whilst thinking of a friend, they would be able to relive everything that they had lived together, exactly as they had lived it, exactly as the other had lived it too. Imagine passing through such a machine, thinking of a friend, then walk into that friend's home. Imagine passing through it just before meeting someone you had just had a fight with, then see his point of view, feel his frustration, his confusion maybe. In his mind, the fantasy went on. Imagine the scanner were a part of us all, something innate, something allowing us to always feel what other people felt. The man saw himself walking in the street, passing an old woman carrying a bag, clearly too heavy, a panicked child looking for his mother, a man who had just lost his wife, waves of feelings rushing into his heart. For most of us, it would simply be impossible to live in such a world. Maybe that is why, on the physical level, this information is shielded from us. Maybe the scanner doesn't work down here, Shaoni, here on the low vibrational plane, the wizard ended. But then again, maybe it does. Imagine the day when all these feelings will no longer be blocked off. Imagine that day. The day you will be able to fully feel all the happiness you created, the sadness and pain you created too. Imagine that day. Can you feel the happiness? Can you feel the sadness too? Later that evening, the wizard came up to the boy and said, "Tonight, my boy, just before falling asleep, go to your center and imagine. Imagine yourself gifted with this incredible power, a power to feel another person's needs, his deepest needs, just by looking at him. Take the time. Imagine this person to be standing just in front of you. Look at him and realize how indeed you can feel his deepest needs. Then imagine having an even greater power, a power to offer this person whatever he needs just by touching him. Just imagine yourself barely touching this person. Then see how from this touch an energy flows, an energy of pure love, an energy flowing through you, an energy bringing him exactly what he needs. Imagine how from deep within this energy flows, and through your touch, it reaches him to do its healing work. Then, my boy, tomorrow, when someone in need crosses your path, and you feel the love streaming within, go to him, touch him, and feel the energy doing its work." "Do you mean to say that, come tomorrow, I will really be able to do this?" Shaoni asked. "You always could, my boy," the wizard replied, "except that for some odd reason, they have forgotten to tell you."